I don't really know what to say about what happened in Connecticut. We had a monologue all written about another issue. I've scrapped that. I'm just ad-libbing here. There's nothing on this prompter in front of me. Yeah, the reality of TV. Look, I'm a Canadian who spent the first half of my life in the United Kingdom. Do I understand this obsession about guns? No, frankly, I don't. A few comments, I suppose, in passing. It was obscene. It was grotesque. But my goodness, now people were splashing around in the blood and suffering of the community. I mean, do we really need to interview 6-year-olds about what happened? We know what happened. How do you feel? How do you think they feel, for goodness sake? These are kids. I don't understand the parents allowing their children to be interviewed by members of the media. The police response to this, well, again, I know people will say, oh, how dare he say this? But did you see the dozens, the hundreds of heavily armed police officers, National Guard and soldiers, this cretin had already killed himself, for goodness sake. There is something about American society, love it as I do, but it is obsessed with violence and armed response and guns. Crossing the border, you see this. You go to a park and there's a guy with a gun there. Who's he guarding? The bears? Evil. We saw evil, dysfunction. The murderer's mother was one of these people preparing for the end of the world. Why do you get into that frame of mind? If the war is going to end, it's going to end. Maybe on Friday. I don't know. Don't particularly care, really. Little children were murdered. Within moments, this became political. We had those who obsess about controlling guns telling us this is why we have to control them. I don't know if it's true or not. I really don't. I'm sorry. Unlike most people in media, I don't have supernatural wisdom. I can't give you an absolute definitive answer. Then we had the other side saying, no, you mustn't do this. That has nothing to do with that. If there were more guns around, if those teachers had submachine guns, we'd all be okay now. That doesn't seem particularly compelling or convincing either. I don't know the answer, okay? I'm just a journalist. I don't know if more or less guns. It seems to me there's a common sense approach. Too much gun control is simply draconian and irrelevant, and it intervenes and intrudes, interferes with ordinary and decent people. At the same time, does anyone really need a weapon that can fire so many bullets so quickly and cause such damage? There is a line that can be drawn that will include most people on the right side. The attacks on President Barack Obama, you know how I've attacked this man. I think he's an appallingly bad, incompetent president. But his reaction to this, what did you expect him to do? I think he was genuinely moved. He did mention, I suppose, a little bit about gun control, at least implicitly, but I'm not going to condemn him for that. The feelings industry, immediately the people coming forward, the teddy bears and the flowers. Why do you have to tell other people about your feelings? If you grieve, and you should, your heart should be broken about what happened. Privately. Why do you have to be in front of a camera doing it? Why are you taking your children to be in front of cameras showing how much you grieve? We don't really care. I'm sorry, but we don't care about how you feel. You weren't involved. You're not a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle. They're probably at home weeping. You're the ones out there posing for the cameras. And how dare you take your children? All these appallingly underqualified so-called psychologists with a bad degree from a bad university in psychology who think they know how the human mind works and the human emotions and the human soul. This is what you tell your children. You don't have to tell your children anything. We've raised 4 kids. There have been tragedies that have occurred. They don't really know about it. Don't involve them. If they ask a question, answer them. But otherwise, don't make them adults when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. You're the ones causing the problem there. But everybody has to be vicariously part of the happening, don't they? Even those inbred cretins down in the Westboro Baptist Church, they're not Baptists. It's not a church. It's a compound, a group of people who like suing those who attack them. They're now apparently going to go to the funeral and say, this is God's punishment. The response to them is to ignore them, not give them more front page news. America is a violent society. I watched last night, the kids wanted to watch this movie on pay-per-view. Was it The Expendables? Is that what it's called? 2. Didn't even know it was the first one. I mean, it's just silly, but endless shooting, endless blood. It doesn't matter very much. We're grown-ups, but Hollywood makes a fortune out of producing violent movies, and then the usual suspects come forward in Hollywood and say, we've got to control guns. You bloody hypocrites. You really are, aren't you? In the final analysis, there is not much to conclude or construe or to say about what happened. It was evil at work. You can control guns like in Britain, you'll still have massacres. You can have very, very open, liberal attitudes towards guns, have them everywhere in, say, Switzerland, and you can have a very passive society. But bad, dark, evil people will always exist, whether you like it or not. This is not the last time we will grieve. Maybe it's the first time we get it almost right. No, we haven't got it right at all, have we?